What is going on, guys? Winter Kills here. Happy to bring you another amazing matchup. This is not a feature match. This was not from a local tournament, but me play testing at locals with some friends, playing against my friend Saturn. You guys know him. He's been in tons and tons of videos over the years. Playing his Gizmek, Orochi, Gren, Maju, OTK deck versus is my Fish Mermail build with the Deep Sea King Suelacanth, because apparently I was pronouncing it wrong, but we're going to go ahead and get into the game here. I win the dice roll, or I think I lost the dice roll, and he opts to go second, therefore making me go first. Now, there was some experimental changes I was making in this video. Not in this video, but at least this this build of Mermail. And I think I dropped Moon Glacia in this build because I just wasn't liking it in there in the main deck. I found many times that I just wouldn't want to go for it. Mainly because not going for it would allow me to go for other better, in quotes, cards for that specific situation, allowing me to make more combos, put up more interruptions, things like that, where Moon Glacia kind of just felt a little clunky, but I've since added it back in just because I understand that, you know, Moon Glacia going first against most decks, of course, is still a really good option. Ripping 2 out of your opponent's hand doesn't really hurt unless, of course, they're playing Danger or BA or Dark World or whatever it may be. But yeah, so standard plays going off here, going into Alacia, and I believe he does have a fantastical Dragon Phantasme, so on the special summon of a Link monster, we'll be able to special that from his hand and draw cards up to the number of Link monsters I control +1, so we're going to draw 2 and now have to put back one of those cards in his hand back to the back of his deck, sort of, you know, fixing his hand. So I end with just Megalo Alacia. Really not the most optimal turn. That Sekka's Light getting Ash did hurt a little bit, trying to fix my hand quite a bit, and does get met with Ash, which of course is expected. And I do apologize, there's a bit of glare there on the bottom of the video. I do apologize for that. Didn't have the option during this recording session to be able to record wherever you wanted, so I had to use an open table, and there just happened to be a bit of a glare there, so I do apologize. So summoning the Gizmek, Orochi, and Eater of Millions, swinging in with some damage. You know, banishing the Dogaron, swinging over Megalo for 50, and then attacking directly for 2400, putting me to 5550 here. I get my turn started with the Swap Frog because I decided to try out the Swap Frog engine in place of the Gen X Undyne engine, just simply because I've had a little bit too much of Gen X controller, at least for a month or so. Yeah, just, I mean, I love the Undyne engine, but I just wanted to, you know, test it against the Swap Frog engine. That's why I was kind of excited to go to locals to test a bit, because I wanted to test this build IRL against some interesting decks, and I guess this is one of those interesting decks, you could say. So on the summon of that Ronin Tonin, he's going to activate Super Polymerization, discarding Ghost Ogre to suck up my Alacia and my Swap Frog. And I do have another copy of Sekka's Light, because in my opening hand I did have 2, so that does come in clutch there. Draws me into 2 cards, one of them being Lapis Dragon. So be able to special summon that to my side of the field, and then using Sekka's Light other effect to put that heavy infantry back into the deck to, of course, get an additional draw here. Trying to get something a little bit better. Make some combos happening. I think I did draw pretty well off of that Sekka's Light draw, so I definitely have a good combo here, or at least a play I can make 100%. And he does have a lot of attack position monsters on his side of the field. Keep that in mind. I think I drew Deep Sea Diva off of that Sekka's Light draw, but it's unfortunate because I didn't want to wait, you know, and go for the Sekka's Light first. I kind of wanted to start off with the Swap Frog play and try to bait anything out, and I think that did a good job at doing that because the Super Poly resolved. So unfortunately, I have to discard the Deep Sea Diva, but I think at this point it's definitely worth it. So discarding the Diva off of the Teus. And then using, you know, some link plays here, going for that Dine play, which is really clutch to be able to summon that out, and the Gun from Grave, and then going into Marincess Coral Anemone to summon out Swap, to send another Swap to the Grave from deck, to go right and do a totally awesome, linking the Teus and the Anemone here now into my Starboy, since I cannot use it to go into Alacia because it is a Cyberse monster, and then synchroing with the Gun and the Lapis Dragon into a copy of White Ore Whale to blow up all those attack position monsters. Of course, Whale does piercing damage. We'll be able to do some damage through that Mud Dragon, swinging for 27 and 19, leaving at 17 after he takes that hit from Starboy. So quite a bit of damage there for sure, thanks to that Starboy boost. And Mistar Boy is also an Aqua, so he tries to end phase Gizmek Orochi. I negate that, of course, by getting rid of the Mistar Boy, because I want to be able to still have a negate for whatever he draws next turn. I figured if he summons the Gizmek for turn, it's not that big of a deal, because if he runs over anything or pops anything, I get effects off of it, and he tries to get rid of the White Aura Whale. I'll just summon it back out of my graveyard for free. But he does draw Pankratops for turn, which is a pretty good draw. It does run over the Totally Awesome, which is, you know, not too big of a deal. Only take 400 points of damage there. Now, I make a bit of a misplay here. I should have added back the Diva in my graveyard. Instead, I go for Dyne, and I cannot actually use it there because, A, I don't control a Mermail monster, and I think maybe I couldn't have been able to use it in the first place, even if I did, because of damage step shenanigans. I'm not entirely sure. But luckily, I didn't put them into attack position because I wouldn't have been able to attack them in the first place, thus stealing the game. So I do swing over that Pankratops for 200 points of damage, which is pretty clutch. If you wanted to summon Gizmek there, that would have been bad, because I would have been able to attack again, because, of course, Whale can make up to 2 attacks on monsters. So, like I said, I wouldn't have been able to use Dyne there, because I do not control a Mermail monster, and in order to use Dyne's effect when it's added from your deck to your graveyard, or your graveyard to your hand by a card effect, you can summon it while you control a Mermail monster. Then if it was special summoned by the effect of a Mermail monster, you can special summon a level 3 Mermail monster from your graveyard as a result. And Dyne can miss timing, keep that in mind as well. So he's going to end phase summon Gizmek here, banishing 8 more cards off the top, and then has a Slumber. He top decks for turn, which is a pretty bad card to draw, considering that if he destroys the Whale, I'm going to get the Kaiju, and the Whale is going to come right back, so which is going to prove to be just a ton of more damage for him to deal with next turn. So yeah, pretty somewhat easy game there. Only one bit of a mishap on my mark there. But heading into game 2 now, where of course I want to mention a quick shout out to our sponsor at Imperium Duelist, providing some amazing and high quality sleeves, playmats, dice, calculator cases, etc., etc. Effect sleeves, non-effect sleeves, 2-player cloth playmats with zones, some without zones. If you guys haven't checked them out already, please do so. Their link to their website is down in the description below, as well as a discount code that you can use to save 10% off. That is WinnerKills10 off. You can use that to save 10% off your entire purchase. So moving forward, the Diva getting ashed, very, very unfortunate. It hurts every single time. Discarding that Siwilicunth to adding a Pike from my deck to my hand. I was thinking about Dyne, but of course I have no level 3 Mermails in grave to take use of that. So I think I go for adding the Pike here, but unfortunately I have no other way to get that Pike onto the field, to be able to search Arborea, to be able to search, be able to Synchro Summon into the White Aura Monoceros, to be able to Reborn that Deep Sea King from my graveyard, to be able to discard, especially summon as many fish monsters level 4 or lower from my deck as possible, because that would have pretty much sealed it with tons of plays at that point. Some cool Link play, or some cool Ixies plays or Synchro plays can be set up off of Deep Sea King. And it's really a really versatile card. It's just setting it up sometimes can be a little tricky. But Alacia definitely helps sometimes, because if you can get Alacia on your board, you basically have access to Deep Sea King. And he resolves that Desires, and he ends up drawing 2 copies of Desires off of it. Now you better believe he cut that 3rd Desires after this match, that's for sure. That happened to me on stream one time. I was playing Mech Knight Invoked and trying a build with 3 Desires, and I drew the 2nd and 3rd Desires off a Desire Zone game, and I've never gone back since. So definitely learned my lesson there. I mean, in a Gizmek deck, it kind of makes sense. The odds are low, but you just never want that to happen, because it is so unbelievably suboptimal. Now normal summoning the Fairy Tale Luna to add a copy of itself from its deck to hand, or any spellcaster really with 1850. And I believe he goes into battle phase now, trying to, bait out the Alacia. I end up discarding the infantry, adding a copy of Gun from the deck of my hand, and trying to pop the Luna. He does negate with Phantasme since it does target. And then he's going to use the balance effect and negate by sending another copy of Alacia from my deck to the grave. Now, important to keep in mind, he can't revive that Alacia since it was not properly summoned, even though it is in the graveyard. Getting my turn started with Pike, discarding Gund, Chainlink 2 Pike, Chainlink 1 Gund, adding Arborea, and summoning out my Teus from the graveyard. Now, I know he still has a live bounce on his side of the field, and I'm trying not to let that go through. And he doesn't even need the bounce. He has super polymerization, which is a really hurtful card in this matchup. I added the Arborea there, thinking I could set up Monoceros for the Deep Sea King play, which I just don't think I could have been able to do it this given turn with the cards that I have in my hand. And he goes in, of course, Mud Dragon, and I've got nothing but a Pike on the side of my field. I summon Teus here and discard the Mander, and then I go for the Dine with the Gund from Grave. So as it stands, I have a lot of room to do things, but this one bounce is going to prove to be really disruptful, because if I go for a Link 2 and I summon Arborea and I summon Monoceros and I summon out Deep Sea King, and also keep in mind I have only one card in my hand at this point as well, so I can't even technically go for Deep Sea King because I won't have a discard in hand by the time I get to it. So I also have another play, and that's to link off the Teus and the Pike into Alacia or Mistarboy, and use Mander to make the Dine and the Gund level 4 to be able to go into Bahamut Shark to summon Toad. But if I feel like if I get that Bahamut Shark on the field, he's just going to bounce that, and I'm going to have no say in it because I have no way to stop it. And I only play one copy of Bahamut Shark in this current extra deck, and I was playing like a 17 card extra deck at this point because I was trying to see which cards came up the most, and some of the cards that I didn't think would come up didn't come up, and I've since cut them from the extra. I believe end phase he tries to bounce that Pike back. I do have another copy in the deck because I am playing multiple copies of Pike 2, I think, in this current version, at least in this duel. And he does that does get negated because I do have that extra Pike. Getting his turn started with Desires. It's literally impossible for him to draw 2 Desires here because, well, he's already drawn them. So he does have, of course, some good draws there, hopefully. Going for Gizmek Orochi now, trying to put on some pressure, banishing 8 more. And I'm really hoping he hasn't seen Gren Maju at this point, but there it is, and it has 2 Desires worth of the attack boost and a Gizmek, so that's 28 banished cards, 28 times 400. You do the math, that's a lot of damage over that Pike, which is really unfortunate. Now, game 3 here, I have him go first to see if I can pull off a swift OTK against a board with minimal interruption. I see that he doesn't set anything, so I know I'm free from Super Poly this turn, which has been sort of the bane of my existence this game, and sucking up cards that I just literally can't do anything about it because, of course, he cannot respond. Of course, I guess I could bait it out by getting a card like Marksman to the graveyard to try to hit it, but never had the opportunity to do that. He does start with Eater of Millions, linking into Link Karibo. I get started with Teus, discarding Fishborg Launcher to add Gund to the deck, add Gund from my deck to my hand. Then summoning Megalo by discarding Pike and Gund. Gund bringing back Pike. Pike discarding Ronin to search a level 3, so coming in very clutch here. And I'm going to add Dine. And Dine will special summon itself since there's nothing else in that chain link preventing it from resolving, because it is a when this card is added, it's not an if, so it does have to resolve first, and it can miss timing. Has to be like the first thing in the chain, the first thing that resolves, technically. So chain link 2, chain link 1. Dine would have to be chain link 2. But it's also when it hits the board effect is also a when, so that has to also resolve, as like sort of the only thing that's happening. So when you go for Dine, you really need to just discard Teus and like a Ronin, add Dine, and then special Dine, then Dine effect on field to summon out another card. So basically using Dine as a quick way to get access to a easy Link 2, and that is going to be Mistarboy. There is a copy of Phantasme, but you know what? I'm alright with that. He's putting more monsters on this field for me to do piercing damage through. Because I still have that launcher in graveyard, who is yet to launch himself from the graveyard to allow me to put on some more damage. So he's going to draw 2 off the Phantasme and put 1 back into the deck. Going to shuffle the deck up there. Normal Deep Sea Diva. Does he have the Ash? And then, of course, he has the Ash. If that would have gone through, that would have been game for sure, but it's still pretty close to game nonetheless. Launcher comes out to synchro with the Teus. And of course, I use Megalo to tribute off that useless Diva to get double attack. Pierce into that Phantasme, drop him down to 65. Megalo can attack twice and is at 29, so I'll punch in 1 time with 29. Punch in again, dropping down to 7. Pike goes for the kill shot, and he has Juragetto of all things, which is going to boost him by 1,000. But what has he done there, folks? He's put another monster on his field for White Aura Whale to pierce through, and it does have 1300 defense, so he's going to take 2000 there, and it is just game over. A swift OTK via, you know, classic Starboy, double attacking Megalo and White Aura Whale, and just a little pike there to seal things off. Could have done a little bit more on top of that if the Diva would have resolved as well. So possibly could have made a Trish off of that. Yeah, definitely could have made a Trish, summoning the Marksman from deck, going for Trish to clear any extra cards had the Diva gone through, or of course going for a standard play with Prince, sending Dragoons, adding Dragoons Megalo to sort of, you know, bolster the hand advantage for next turn. So that is it for this video. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like and check out Imperium Duelist as well. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you check out the giveaway that's currently going on. Please check that out. There should be a video on my channel. It should be annotated at the end and in the top right for you guys to check out if you haven't seen that already. Go watch that video on details on how to win one of two Imperium Duelist playmats for yourself. So that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, Winter Kill signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one.